You wouldn't believe it, but it all started with a single, eerie signal. No one knew where it came from, but it echoed through the wreckage of an abandoned city. A city that was once alive, buzzing with people, now just ruins. And I'm not talking about an old town. No, this was a thriving metropolis. Before everything went silent, I was the first to get there. Tony Stark. Yeah, Iron Man. I knew something big was going down when the signal started picking up. The city? It was like a ghost town. Empty streets, collapsed buildings, and everything covered in a thick layer of dust. What happened here? I needed to find out. But I wasn't alone. Ben Grimm, also known as The Thing, was already there. I don't know how he got there first, but he was standing in the middle of the wreckage, fists clenched like he was ready to punch his way through every brick in sight. "Stark," he growled when he saw me land in my suit. "You're behind this, aren't you? All this destruction. I know you, Tony. You never leave a mess you didn't cause." I froze. What was he talking about? I hadn't caused anything. But before I could explain, Ben charged. And that's when everything turned ugly. His fists slammed into the ground with such force that the whole street buckled under the pressure. I barely dodged it, using my suit's boosters to fly up just in time. "Ben, wait!" I shouted, trying to reason with him. "You're making a mistake. I'm not your enemy here." But he wasn't listening. The Thing's strength was insane. He ripped a piece of concrete out of the street and hurled it at me, aiming to crush me. I dodged, but barely. The street around us was crumbling. Buildings were toppling, and I had to move fast before everything came crashing down on us. I was barely holding my own in my regular suit. Sure, I've been in tough spots before, but this? Ben's sheer strength was overwhelming. Every punch sent shockwaves through the city, and the debris falling around us was becoming a deadly obstacle. But I couldn't fight him like this. Not with just my basic armor. That's when I made the call. "Jarvis, activate Hulkbuster," I muttered, my voice tight with focus. The suit I built for situations like this. The one designed to take on the Hulk. Boom! The Hulkbuster suit dropped from the sky, slamming into the ground, its massive frame crushing everything underneath it. And just like that, I was inside a machine built for destruction, ready to face Ben head-on. Ben looked at the Hulkbuster and grinned, ready for round 2. "Thought you'd need that, huh? Well, bring it on, Stark." And we went at it. The Hulkbuster's fists connected with the Thing's rocky body, each blow reverberating through the ruins of the city. Ben fought like a wild animal, fists smashing, fists flying. But the Hulkbuster wasn't just brute strength. It was precision. Every movement, every strike had a purpose. The ground shook as we clashed. Ben's hits were powerful, but I wasn't going to back down. I used the Hulkbuster's thrusters to fly around him, dodging his massive punches. I didn't want to hurt him, but I had no choice. I had to stop him. With one massive punch, I knocked Ben into a collapsed building. The walls crumbled around him, and for a second, it looked like the fight was over. But I knew better than to assume that. Ben always bounces back. Sure enough, he stood up, angry as ever. But the Hulkbuster was ready. I grabbed one of the steel beams from the rubble and swung it like a weapon. The Thing roared, but I hit him with everything I had left. He staggered back, clearly exhausted. "I don't want to fight you, Ben," I said, my voice crackling through the suit's speakers. "But I will if I have to." Ben looked at me, rage fading for a moment, as if he realized something. The air between us seemed to shift, but before we could talk, another explosion rocked the city. This one from the center of the abandoned ruins. It wasn't over. And now, we had to work together. For the first time, I could see that Ben wasn't just angry at me. He was angry at everything. This city, this destruction. It wasn't my fault, but it was something I had to fix. And Ben, he knew that. He was just hurt, angry at everything around him, and most of all, himself. The real enemy? It wasn't us. It was a hidden force beneath the city pulling the strings, making us fight. But that's a whole other story.